Let's go find out, I says. Go find out if we can handle the other side of this lake. Purely for... Purely due to the fact that we got such a massive power spike at that level 13 from like all this level 13 gear and including this thing, which which pumped my DPS by 1 DPS up by a third. So I'm curious, can we handle the level 14s on the other side of the lake? I really don't want to start slaughtering spiders. And the other reason to go the other side of the lake is to start getting all this major oil, so I can use it for potion making. Okay. Let's see how this goes. I mean, I have the new powered shield as well, so... Alright. Looks good. Just... Not really an upgrade. Kind of an upgrade. But... doesn't really matter. Oh. Let's go to these two and get the quests. This wand upgrade is insane. Absolutely insane. Okay, that resist is bad.
Interest you on a pint? Off with you. What can I do for you?
I mean, yeah, there is a wand here, which is infinitely worse than what I just got, basically.
I've the finest wares in the land.
Another one of those.
Safe travels.
Okay. This is going to just be boar hunt. Boar hunt until level 14. We could technically push the island as well. Technically. I think too high chance to get big packs. Might wait until level 15 for that. Dang, it just went straight through the shield, huh? But this DPS is insane. I think both of these are vendor trash now. They haven't been auctioning very well. This thing, like, yeah, it doesn't auction for a lot, but it's still consistently auctions because this is such a low-level cooking material that everybody is using it. Or rather, it is easy to use as a complement for other things. I mean, this is a quest item, so technically people could buy it from that point of view, but
My, you're a tall one.
grab back blast and skin a crocodile here. The elder ones already. $81 kills to level, holy crap. Stuff goes fast. Stuff goes real fast. Ooh, even Briar Thorn. Nice, like, gorgeous. Oh man, that is good. Real good. I suppose this is a good while I'm just grinding away to talk about, because this kind of sort of relates. A while back I mentioned that I could ramble. That it's like the release of this game has a different, like, works quite differently for those of us who came here from previous MMORPGs. Basically, the genre, very much genre-defining game of EverQuest, and of course Dark Age of Camelot. I mean, when this game originally came out, It basically was EverQuest 2.0. It took EverQuest, like all the EverQuest things, and then damn it, there's somebody else burping apparently, and then like upgraded or rather updated a whole lot of those concepts, and especially like the one big, by far the biggest hurdle they did was to make everything soloable. Essentially, as in leveling entirely soloable. Like, yeah, there are some group quests along the way if you are into those and such. However, you don't have to do any of them. You can just bypass all the group content and just level yourself to max, even when this game, you know, this game actually was released. And if you are not familiar with EverQuest, that was not really the case for EverQuest. Like, solo content in EverQuest is like, yeah, there are classes that can do it, or rather, let's say it like this. Everybody can do it to some extent. However, certain classes simply cannot do it for very long if they want to actually level in any sort of reasonable pace. Let's put it that way. Let us put it that way. For example, like... And then there are the classes that can actually level, like monster tuning in the overworld, in this overworld, not instance dungeons, because there weren't instance, there were no like the kind of 5-man dungeons you have in this game, where people in them jump into different instances of them. I guess I'm slaughtering you then, since you decided to come at me. So yeah, so monsters in the overworld were tuned in such a fashion in EverQuest that you were supposed to hunt them in groups. Which is not true for this game. I am here soloing just fine and so forth. And the other thing they did is, man, they made leveling fast. In addition to making this journey soloable from 1 to the max level, they also made it so that you can complete that journey in very little time. And by very little time, I mean very little time compared to the previous games at that time, which are EverQuest and Dark Age of Camelot. And you can talk about other things like Ultima Online and so forth in there as well. But I'm referring specifically to EverQuest and Dark Ages of Camelot because they are very much the inspirations for this game. Especially EverQuest. So, what I mean by all of this preemptive rambling about the leveling speed and all of that stuff is that those of us who came to World of Warcraft from the previous MMORPGs where we already were doing high-end raiding. Like, let's put it this way. I have, before the release of this game, I started playing EverQuest in '99. Okay? And so I had done, by the time EverQuest was really released, I had done a whole lot of raiding already in EverQuest before World of Warcraft was released, that is. Things like King Tormax, Deraco the Vindicator, the bosses in Kyle Drakel, the big the Ice Giant, Frost Giant and Storm Giant, essentially Frost Giant and Storm Giant city. I had cleared out Temple of Ashen, which was basically the end raid of Velia's expansion. I had done raiding in Lachlan. We had cleared out, well, of course, Trakanon, Nagafen, Ladybugs, which are the big dragons in Kunark and the base game, essentially. And so on. Like, I had already gotten a very good taste of endgame raiding prior to the release of this game. And so those of us who came from those games and had experience with the raiding had a very different idea about the whole leveling process. Because when you go... Well, that's an example. When WoW Classic released, and a whole lot of people were asking for and looking for like fastest way to level and all of that stuff and so on. And there's a whole lot of folks like who told them that it's about the journey, not the destination. Like, just enjoy the leveling to the 60 and so on, there is no rush to get there, all of that stuff. Well, or that the leveling was the best thing and all of that stuff, which for them, I mean, if this was the first MMORPG and this was the first time you did this sort of leveling and whatnot, then absolutely, like, I can absolutely see that point of view. But for those of us who came from EverQuest and Dark Ages of Camelot, we just looked at this and went, wait, what? You can solo to max level from the start, and man, this leveling is fast. Let me give you... let's talk about that leveling speed for a short moment. Let me give you some numbers. What I mean by that speed. So... if I do /blade right now on this character, and that, by the way, that is one of those commands, legacy commands, which came from EverQuest as well, which is funny. So if I do that, this character has been played for about 8 hours now. As in, I have been online for about 8 hours, and not all of that has been like just purely leveling. And I am level 13. Try to do that in EverQuest, even with the strong solo classes like Necromancer or a Magician. Good luck! Try to do that in EverQuest. You are not doing that in EverQuest. No. By 8 hours, you are... depending on how good you are at EverQuest and you know exactly the starting zones and where to buy all the gear and whatnot, because I'm talking about the playtime here, right? Running around and turning in all the quests and all of that stuff. And of course, depending a little on the starting location for your raising class in EverQuest, as in do you have easily repeatable quests you can try to use to boost your levels. But in 8 hours, you're lucky to be level 4, level 5, something like that. I am level 13. Think on that for a little. I would be about, if I had a little bit of speed and stuff, I would be half the level in 8 hours. For an absolutely casual player, like let's say somebody who plays about 10 hours a week, 12 hours a week, EverQuest can easily be the journey from level 1 to max level. And this is me talking about the original EverQuest, not the currently live one, because that game is still running after all these years. So it could easily be 9 months to a year of playtime, of you know, actually just playing the game. And I'm not talking about playtime in the game, I'm talking about if you play about 10-12 hours a week, that's easy 9 months to a year to max level. What do you do in this game? Even a casual player who plays 12 hours a week is max level in 3 months. at most, basically. So the leveling speed in here is just blazingly fast compared to what was the pace at the time when this game had released from the previous games. It's just insanely fast. And so what did all of those of us who came from those previous MMORPGs do when we came here? We looked at this thing and went, alright, let's hit max level and get to the end game. Because we had already seen the end game. We had seen what it can be, how much fun it can be, and all of that stuff, like various expansions, big dragon bosses of Western Wastes where you just, you know, wander around as a group and hunt dragons. Like I was part of the servers where I played EverQuest, the server first King Tormax raid ever we had, because remember, EverQuest did not have the sort of instance zones, which well, okay, every zone was an instance, so terminology is a little different, but it didn't have the sort of like when you go into a dungeon, you have your own version of the dungeon, and you know, you can have multiples of those dungeons running at the same time. Now everybody gets into the same place. And our first King Tormax raid, we had like 200 people. We had like all the top raiding guilds fighting that one boss to try and kill it. Because that's what you could do in EverQuest, because of like no locked in 5-man stuff. Like you weren't restricted to 5 or 40 players. You could bring everybody. And so that's what we did for the first King Tormax raid. So, to continue the thought process. So for those of us who had like clear Temple of Vision, like place full of just dragon boss after dragon boss after dragon boss, basically. That sort of stuff. For us, we just like, okay, let's just get to the raiding in this game, and we leveled by, you know, in groups or by solo, depending on how people preferred it, and you know what fit into everybody's schedule at the time and so on. We just bombed the way through, and most of us were used to this kind of leveling that I am doing here. Because this is the leveling. This is the leveling you would do in EverQuest or Dark Ages of Camelot for the most part. Like EverQuest has some quests. Of course, it has some quests here and there, but the quests are either you know, you repeat them for XP until it stops giving you XP. They are quests like turn in 4 orc sashes. Like orc belts, basically. They're quests like that. Or then they are one-off and require quite a bit of doing to get one single quest. And the quests didn't give that much that insane XP past a certain point. Like even the repeatable ones were like essentially designed to be done at certain levels, or then used to get faction up, so that you can enter a certain city or whatnot. Like, basically this reputation system you have here, like sort of like you would, well, let's say, be grinding Timbermore reputation here. That was a really big part of EverQuest, where you would grind reputations for different factions, a lot of it. So what did we do? We got to level 60 in a month. Like basically most of us. Most of us went to max level in a month. Month or less. Of you know, just playing the game. The really casual ones, obviously it took them a month or about 2 months, something like that. But Like, we couldn't believe how flipping fast this game was, how easy it was to do levels, because you could just solo your way to the max. And the other thing is, some folks might not remember this if you didn't start very early, but originally what are right now the 5-man dungeons, they were actually not locked to be 5-man dungeons. Oh man, that resist sucks. Essentially, what you could do is you could run them in 10-man raids, and that's what we did. Like, I remember so many. I think the biggest one, the first big one where we spent a whole lot of time, was Scarlet Monastery. We ran that over and over in a 10-man raid, just to get loot. And then eventually they locked them in. They realized that, okay, this is or for some other reason they realized that this gets people loot really easily and so on. They locked them in as 5-man only content. So you have to be in 5-man groups essentially, or less, I suppose. But the maximum was 5. But originally you could do them in 10-man. 10-man raids. So yeah, the end thought on that is, like I said, the way we approached the game was so very different than for those whom this was the first MMORPG. Because what we did was basically do this, what I am doing here. Just grind monsters to the max level. Because, man, that was like, let's put it this way. For somebody,
What can I get for you today?
I've now been grinding half an hour here. And I have done half the level. Or about half the level. Over half the level. Which to our minds coming in from EverQuest would be like, what the... How is that possible? That is insane. Half an hour, half a level at this point. And this leveling speed, like when you find good grinding spots, this is not a good grinding spot, I have to wait for respawns and stuff. But yeah, when you have good grinding spots, and you can see some of that when WoW Classic was released and I leveled the first Troll Priest, I just did most of it by grinding things. And that is going to happen with this stuff as well, instead of questing. Because when you find a good grinding spot, the leveling speed is consistent, while questing it is not. For the most part, through this entire game, through levels 1 to 60, it kind of holds true, well, let's say levels 10 to 60. Because the early, like, first 10 levels, first 6, 7, 8, maybe about 10 levels, go really quickly. Even with poor to no gear. But it really evens out to the point that in a decent grinding spot where you can, you know, move from monster to monster based on your downtime, like whenever you are ready to fight, you have something to fight. Levels take about 1 hour to 2 hours of grinding. And also depending on your rested XP situation. And rested XP is also something that the previous games, EverQuest and so on, didn't have. And it speeds up the casual leveling experience so much. So much. So if you consider, like let's make the argument that each level takes on average an hour and a half. So 90 hours of playtime purely by grinding to max level. That is not that much for an MMORPG. it feels like, it sounds like a lot, and it feels a lot, and you know, there are ways to like, if you optimize a questing cycle and so on, you can obviously do that faster, but that requires a high level of knowledge to do that optimization. Or obviously some kind of a guide, which for the guide maker requires a high level of knowledge of what the heck was going on. And of course that stuff not possible when the game released. Not possible when the game released. These days it's very much possible. But me, I still generally level like this. I do questing, and I mix the questing in with this grinding. Because for one, this grinding is real... Well, for one, it's really simple. And you can do other things while you're grinding. Because it is so simple. You can watch movies or as I did with that Dwarf Priest at the time, because I was studying at the time. I was doing my study stuff at the time while I was grinding, and then there is also the fact that it is, like I said, it is really consistent method of leveling. You keep up about the same pace through the whole thing. And then you calculate, then you add in the rested XP, and it takes way under 90 hours. Way under 90 hours. How's this? 37 kills to level. So... time played this level 57 minutes. And that includes all the running around I did. What's all the running around I did? This is also why I use this Titan panel thing. There's total time played info at the top as well. Because it tells me if I am actually keeping up pace on the leveling. I will find the next boar. But yeah. That's that ramble and story time. Let me know how it was for you. When you started, was this your first MMORPG? Because for me it was the third. After EverQuest. I mostly played EverQuest. I dabbled in Dark Ages of Camelot. Didn't play that so much, but I mostly played EverQuest. And for me, when I came here, what I did was I beelined to 60, and then we got to the end game stuff. And we mostly grinded to 60, at least those of us who came with me from EverQuest, because that's what we knew as a very feasible leveling tactic and strategy. Just grinding monsters and going into dungeons and grinding dungeons over and over and over and over. Because in EverQuest you would go into a dungeon and you would take over one camp in that dungeon, and then you would pull that camp, and if you ran out of things you would pull from surrounding that camp. And you know, people who would come into the zone, into that dungeon zone, they would call for a camp check, figure out like which camps in the dungeon had been taken over by people, and then they would like take over some other camp, or you know, look for a group. And the fact that we had individual instances here, so we didn't have to compete with anybody else for that loot, for that XP. Of course we ran those things. With 10-man groups. Oh man. That was funky. And it is also kind of funky to see the way the various developers have iterated World of Warcraft to where it is right now. And where it even ended up with the first expansion. Wrong line of robes. Actually, I think I might take that. That is really simple to do. I have the I should have the materials for it on my tailor all. So yeah, because even the Burning Crusade expansion like made some differences. Some of which felt very similar to what we had in EverQuest, and some which felt like as an example of the EverQuest stuff. Like I mentioned earlier, faction, as in what is the reputation system in this game, was such a big thing in EverQuest, because there was slaughtering certain monsters simply improved and lowered your faction with various other factions. And so you could do things like, okay, I am a dark elf, and so I cannot actually get inside certain cities at all, like good aligned cities. For example, the city of High Elves. Just couldn't. You would be killed on sight. There were, like, vast majority of the cities in the world were hostile to trolls, ogres, dark elves. Well, Ixar, everybody hated Ixar, so as an Ixar you couldn't get into anybody else's city, and so on. However, most places had some kind of a monster you could grind for that faction increases. And so you could improve your faction and get into those cities. So when you look at the Burning Crusade, what happened with reputations in Burning Crusade? Massive reputation grinds. Specifically for running dungeons. Essentially, by killing monsters you improved your reputations with the different cities. And you got rewarded by those. Now, granted, the kind of rewards you get in Burning Crusade for raising all the factions didn't exist in EverQuest. Like, no, not at all. But what was the reward for in EverQuest for it was generally that you could actually go in that city and you know, sell to the vendors without being killed. That has Bruce weight. Can I pick that up? Oh, I can. That's gorgeous. Give me Bruce Braid and give me more Briar Thorn. So yeah. Burning Crusade to me is always like, oh, this is where they went back to EverQuest and were like, ew, that seems like an idea. Let's take that. Okay, now I'm gonna... Yeah, I should have stolen that. Okay, please don't come here. I want this Briar Thorn. I could have tried to steal, or go in there and steal it while he was in combat, but never mind. Never mind. Kind of waiting to see if he actually had herbalism. don't need it that badly to try and screw others over. But yeah, it is. When you look at the and when you look at all these genres of games, like if you are really knowledgeable, you have played those games a bunch, you can really see various differences. Like I am sure the folks who play mostly shooter games can see the iterative differences there, what was done and what was improved on, and so on from the other games. For me, the two games or genres, I suppose, of games I have played, I have put in the most time by far, are MMORPGs and real-time strategy. Played a crap load of real-time strategy and played a crap load of MMORPGs, and everything else is sort of like a something I just play from time to time. One of the reasons why I am I am so very focused on multiplayer games, have always been since I started. Well, I didn't start as EverQuest as my very first game. Not at all. I played some other stuff as well. Had the first had a 8-bit Nintendo and 16-bit Super Nintendo, and I had a the first PlayStation and all sorts of stuff like that. So I played a bunch of single-player games. But the truth of the matter is, when I got into the multiplayer stuff and realized just how much fun it is to play with and against other actual humans, instead of just, you know, computer. That's when it's like, okay, well, this genre of games, like the games which allow me to do this, that's probably forever my thing. Simply because when you do things with other humans, the results can vary so very widely from one thing to another, and there is a whole lot of fun in that. Do I have a whole lot of board chunks? That variance by itself brings all sorts of good and fun things. 20 kills to level. I'm gonna go sell and check out the level 14 stuff, and then level 14 I could actually, I might actually do some questing. Maybe go and do these. And possibly that as well. Might be early enough that nobody else is really camping the drugs, so I might be able to do those quests. And maybe even pick up the quests from here. Crocodile hunting and all of that good stuff. So I have been at this for 45 minutes now. And I basically have went from 13 to 40. Man, the leveling speed in this game. And I haven't really paid any attention to this leveling. I've just been rambling about EverQuest and MMORPG leveling and all of that nonsense. Yep. Yeah. I mean, if you really wanna try, EverQuest is still running. As in actual live EverQuest. It has what, 21, 22 expansions now and stuff? It is insane. However, if you really want to experience very old, like the original EvoQuest, my recommendation, and you can see some of it. I live stream it from time to time. EvoQuest Project 1999. Look that up. Completely and utterly free to play. Player base isn't massive, like I would recommend the green server. There is 3 servers. I would recommend the green, that's where you can find the most beginners. Something like 1000 to 1200 players on peak times. It's not massive. But that's where you can get the authentic 1999 release EvoQuest experience. Now granted, at this point it's not exactly 99 because the timeline there has moved in such a fashion as to include the Kunark and Velius expansions. So it's more like what, 2002, 2001 EvoQuest? Man, that resist is bad. Yeah, am I remembering that wrong? Yeah, I was remembering 2001. And Scars of Velius was released December 5, 2000. Yeah, that's why I'm remembering 2001. Okay. And I mean, those expansions came really fast for EvoQuest. Because first one, Kunark came towards the beginning of 2000. I think it was April. Yeah, I think it was April. Might actually look that up as well right now. Do I remember that correct? Yeah, April 24, 2000. And then, basically half a year later, you have Velius expansion. So, 2 expansions within a year. Or in the same year, anyway. Project 1999 requires Titanium, EvoQuest Titanium version to be installed. However, that's really easy because you can get it from archive.org. EvoQuest Titanium install desks. Completely for free. It's just up there. So you can just grab that from there, and these days, if you're playing on Windows 10 or Windows 11 machine, Windows has a mounting. Like Windows can essentially mount virtual drives. So you don't need daemon tools or something similar anymore either to mount the disks. You can just mount the disks in Windows. Recommend checking up a guide on that if that's not familiar too. It is really simple, just right click and mount, but basically just make sure that you understand how it works and what it does before you do, basically. Who ate all the skinnable ones? What the... Okay, there is one. Dang it. Hopefully I can get that before the bear aggroes on me. Very good. Mage Royal is good. Allows me to make more minor mana potions. Briar Thorn. Pick up this. The other one ran off somewhere different. I want the Briar Thorn. Come here. Give me Swift Thistle too. Give me Swift Thistle. Ah, got it. Fantastic. Fantastic. 5 kills to level. Man, this went so fast. Holy moly. And I have so much stuff to stick into auction house, make cash with. This is the other reason why I do like to do grinding, especially with skinning on beasts. Now usually I would not auction any of this leather. When I normally do this, the leather is vendor trash. Because nobody buys this amount of stuff. Oh man, those raiders. There we go. So yeah, however here I'm putting all of it into auction house and all sells, which is insane to me, but it does, so there we go. There we go. Oh, a shadow wand even. Huh. Okay. Well, that's good. Damn it. Resist again on the void plague. I suppose I do get the peace bloom, so... There is the level up. Damn. There is the level up. That also gives the final point on for wand specialization. One spec. Level 14. Let's go. Yeah, let's go pick up those quests. Or the one Crocolisk quest. And then I Hearthstone back. Where we might actually do Power Word Fortitude. I generally don't use it while I'm just grinding, because it doesn't matter. Okay, you give me a black bird to skin. That is fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you kindly for that. Major oil. Give me more swift thistle. Yes, thank you. Now I can make another 5 minor mana potions. Very good. Ooh, more bruiseweed. As well. You, gunsmith, buy this random crap. Do I try to sell those? Yeah.
Safe travels.
Great to meet you. Watch your back.
Grab that. Should probably vendor these as well. Nobody buys these. Seems to be buying these.
What can I get for you today?
Yeah, let's do that.
See you soon.
Okay. Alright, let's go. Let's go to Iron Forge and for me to take a little break.